right, everyone, it's Phil and
Pete.
And we're back after a long break, after Winterfell fell, and Danny went nuts.
After the fall of Westeros.
And everybody hated the writers of Game of Thrones.
After the writers got crucified.
Yes, although they got crucified with a lot of money. Did you see how much they made?
And they're doing Star Wars now. So
I heard it was a 9 figure? With like 100 million, 100 million and up is 9 figures, right?
Yeah.
To work exclusively with Netflix. These guys don't care about any of the hate they may or may not have received on the internet. They are happy. I know Game of Thrones won a couple Emmys. Dinklage.
Yeah, Dinklage, and actually it won Best Dramatic Series. After all that hate, it won the Emmy for Best Dramatic Series.
They're okay. They're not paying any of my bills, so I could care less. But today we are talking about a series that's way better written, directed, much more cultural value than anything Game of Thrones and George R.R. Martin has ever produced. And that's Rambo!
Rambo teaches us a lot about life.
Yes, every liberal's nightmare.
Yes.
It's Rambo.
I am here as the hater, by the way. I was invited to do this under protest.
Yes, by the way, so in case you guys don't know, Pete, he is a Canadian. So before we start going, I've got to make fun of Canadians a little bit because they're the peace and love crowd, if you're looking at it from an American perspective. Let me ask you, Pete. What does Rambo mean to you, or what did it mean to you as a kid growing up, or maybe from a Canadian culture? Did you look at it and say, what the fuck is this? And just give me a little bit of a Canadian perspective of what the heck Rambo means.
Well, okay, I will tell you what Rambo meant to me as a child, and I will tell you what Rambo means to me now. As a child growing up, Rambo meant that it is okay to use violence to solve your problems, and you won't suffer any consequences, and it's totally okay to beat up people because you disagree with them. As an adult, it actually means the same thing, except I agree with it now.
Yeah, well, to Rambo's defense I come, because they fucked with him first. He was just trying to mind his own business, doing his own thing. He's a
very peaceful man.
He's an extremely peaceful man. He's a farmer.
Yes. He just happens to chop off heads once in a while.
Yeah, the wrong place at the wrong time. So, on the other hand, we were just discussing this a little bit before we started the podcast about these movies that we've always seen but not really seen because it's always on TV. And Rambo was one of these movies. It's always on TNT or whatever channel, cable channel.
I didn't even know a Part 4 existed, actually.
Really? Oh, yeah, I was always confused about how many there were, and I was surprised that there was only 3 of the original and then the Rambo 4
is just called Rambo.
Yeah, which is just called Rambo, because I would get it mixed with Rocky, because Rocky has 5.
And, so
I always figured, okay, Rambo must have had 4 already done, and then Rambo, just from 2008, was the 5th installment, but it isn't. So I'm actually kind of happy that they made a 5th one. It's a nice round number to kind of end the series on, like with, Rocky, they had another one after. But anyway, so I was kind of cool watching them all because I had never actually seen any of them from beginning to end, and they were all a mishmash in my head of just explosions.
I actually saw Part 2 in the theaters.
Oh my god! Yeah. No, I think I was too young. I was when that came out?
1985.
Yeah, I was 4 years old, so definitely, it was for me. Rambo was rerun city. So, I never had a real feeling for Rambo other than it was your average, American shoot-'em-up movie. In the 80s, there were a lot of these with this ex-Vietnam or Vietnam feel to it.
Even Carl Weathers did one. Action Jackson.
Action Jackson. I love that movie.
Yeah.
And of course,
Sharon Stone is in it, too.
And a classic, too, is Predator.
Yes, Predator is quite
in
good.
Commando.
Carl Weathers.
Was Schwarzenegger's Commando. In Braddock.
Commando is excellent. Yes.
Yeah, remember Braddock? All those movies with...
Missing in Action.
Missing in Action, that's the name. Chuck Norris. So it was a big trend in the 80s to have a lot of these um, Vietnam esque movies with all these ex Vietnam guys who were just nuts going and killing people.
Yeah.
So for me, Rambo, I guess, was the most famous of them all, but I never had like this affinity to the character.
No, me neither. But it has had legs. It's amazing because
Yeah,
when you think back, like, okay, there's a new Rambo movie out now, but the last one was like 11 years ago.
yeah.
That's a long time, and the fact that people will still go out and see these movies is kind of amazing.
It is amazing, and we'll talk about box office in a little bit. But tonight, what we're doing is we're just ranking these movies. Like I said, for both of us, I think it's almost feels like a first time watch for a lot of these, and so we're coming at it with fresh eyes, and we're just gonna run through these and. I hope you agree, and I hope you disagree, and I hope you battle it out in the comments section. Oh, and I always forget to do this, guys, at the beginning. Like and subscribe and press that little bell so that you know when a new video is up. Star Trek podcast is coming soon. I've been saying that since last year, by the way. The last guy, Jeremy, as much as I love him, he just couldn't handle the Star Trek. So, Pete, I think he likes being tortured a little bit more.
Yeah, I fell asleep watching
So,
part one last
yeah,
night, but I'll get over it.
so
Once you get over part one, everything else is easy.
yes, part one is the hurdle. But anyway, so we'll be coming out with some new rankings of series, and if you have any franchises that you want us to watch, you drop it in the comments, and we'll look into it, and we will rank them. We'll rank them, even especially stuff that's outside of our comfort zones. I like doing stuff like that. Like last year we did the Halloween, and I had never seen any of the Halloween movies. Friday the
Lucky
13th,
man.
and Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street was the only one I was sort of familiar with, and I had a lot of fun with it. I mean, I like horror, but I'm not like a horror aficionado. But it's kind of cool to watch these movies with fresh eyes and seeing it for the first time, something that's so iconic in film. So yeah, drop us some suggestions, and we will get to it. Anyway, we're going to start with Pete. We're going to get right to it. And Pete, you're going to give us your number 5 pick, which I believe is
Rambo 3.
Rambo
Yes.
3.
Okay. Generally speaking, I don't have any problem with the concept of Rambo, a big Italian guy running around blowing people up. That is generally cool. What I had a problem with here is that they lacked foresight. In this movie, the
They lacked
heroes,
foresight in a Rambo movie. Okay.
yeah, in this movie, the heroes are the future Al Qaeda, basically. The principle of the movie is that Troutman has been kidnapped by Russians, and for some reason he's being held prisoner in Afghanistan, which I assume is only happening so Rambo can go to Afghanistan and be an American hero.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I liked about it is that it was a Troutman movie.
Yes.
Like, for the first two movies, we see this Troutman character. It's like, what the fuck isn't there a movie about this guy? This guy is a fucking badass. He's Rambo's teacher.
And the only good actor in all these movies.
Exactly.
Less, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aside
So
from a few exceptions.
it was a very Troutman-centered movie, which I liked. But unfortunately, his heroes and his companions and his saviors are all the same people who flew fucking 747s into the World Trade Center. So I really lacked sympathy for most of his companions in this movie. And yeah, that is kind of why I thought it sucked. But I would add that I do that with the benefit of hindsight.
Yes, you see, I tried to look at it from just imagining I'm in 19. Well, this movie came out in 1988. By the way, the last movie, Krina, is that how you pronounce his name? Richard Krina was in before he died, so this is his swan song.
Right.
So he went out on a high note. But I kind of looked at it from, okay, I'm living in the 1980s, and that was the situation back then, you know, and now it's common knowledge that the U.S. armed the people that eventually became Al Qaeda But at the time, yeah, it was still. I mean, it wasn't in the heart of the Cold War, but there were still those feelings going on. The Soviets were expanding. Who are we gonna call? The Afghanis to get
That
these guys.
that's the thing though. I think that it dragged the Cold War on a bit long. Like
Oh, of course.
I grew up during the Cold War
Yeah.
era, and for me, like 1987, the Cold War was pretty much on the verge of being over. And
Yes.
this movie came out in 1988. It's like, dude, you're just throwing fucking coal on the fire. Like, why do this? You could do a million Rambo stories. Why do you have to do this one?
Because you got to find some conflict around the world. That's Rambo's thing. After the first movie, is he happens to be in the middle of a civil war or a conflict like that at all times. So it made sense for the time, but I agree with you. It was kind of weird to see him in the Mujahideen.
Yeah, it came out a year too late.
Yeah.
Basically, that's the biggest problem with Rambo 3. It was a year too late.
By the way, this was my number 4 pick, so we're just gonna kind of pick this movie apart a little bit, just because we chose it so close to the bottom of our list. I will give you a positive here. I do have some notes. I love the scene in the village where everybody got slaughtered with the guy on the helicopters coming in because they were having that horse race type thing where they
Yeah.
got to pick up the goat as like the
Yeah,
goat
because all
soccer
Arabs ride horses.
and play with dead goats. Yes.
Yeah, and
Uh,
and they play with goats. Yeah.
Yes, and of course, Sylvester Stallone's the best, right?
Yeah.
He comes in and oh my God, look at the gringo, whatever, do his thing. But going past that part, when the fucking helicopters come in and they oh, by the way, this podcast will include bad words, so not for kids. Yeah, when he comes in, he starts shooting everybody and killing the women and the kids, and I love that. I mean, I didn't. You know what I mean. Cinematically speaking, it was awesome. An
Okay.
awesome scene. And it's what really changed their mind to go help him because they like, we don't want anything to do with this. And then they were like, I'll go alone if I have to. And then he does happen to go there. I even wrote down some quotes that I liked. God must love crazy people because he makes so many of them. I like that quote. I think that was the Mujahideen dude that helped, which was a great actor. I like that character. Is he possibly Musa Ghani? That's the only Arab name I see. The first Arab name I see here. We're being very, very borderline racist here. Sasson Gabai possibly is the guy who played. Let me see if the little picture of him shows up. Yeah, that's him. Sasson Gabai. He's an Israeli actor. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's like traitorism.
Yeah, he plays most of it. I guess they can find real Afghans because they were actually like starving
Yeah.
and
It's probably a difficult casting choice.
yeah, and being shot. And then another great line. Who do you think this man is? God? And then I think Trotman says, God would have mercy. He won't. So many great lines. How's the wound? You taught us to ignore pain. Is it working? Not really.
I remember that. Yeah.
Let me see.
The Trump and Stallone scenes are actually
No, they're
the best things
classic.
about
They're
that
classic.
movie.
No, they have the best chemistry. I was actually, when Rambo 2008 came out, I was kind of upset that Troutman wasn't
I know. No Troutman.
Yeah. And it's got one of the best death scenes with the henchmen. Because the bad guy in this movie is this dude called, let me see here, what's his name? Colonel Zeisen. Okay, Colonel Zeisen, which you can see up there in the
evil
top
Russian.
right. The evil, yeah. The evil Russian guy. Like every other movie of that time. But his henchman, he gets fucked up at the end. The real big guy, and remember, I think he was trying to, there was some well, some hole in the ground that they were climbing out of, and he's fighting Rambo, and then Rambo, like, puts a grenade in him, he hangs him, and he falls. It was like a triple death.
Yeah, he killed him 5 times.
Yeah, that was awesome. And the tank versus the helicopter scene is one of my favorites. I love, look.
That was the trailer.
Yes.
That was the trailer. They showed you that scene, and it's like, come watch the movie, it'll be awesome.
Yes.
But then you go see the movie, and it's like, okay, well, That was actually the only awesome thing about it.
Yeah. No, it was up and down for me. I was entertained enough by it, but I agree with some of your points there. One thing that made it a little easy to watch is that it's super fast paced. It's like
It is. Well,
it
all of
doesn't
them are
waste.
though. All of them are like 90
Yeah,
minutes. Last Blood clocked in at like 91 minutes,
yeah,
man.
but I
Like
see.
that's it's like don't fuck around, man.
We're
Like we're
gonna
gonna give you some carnage
we're gonna get
and you
to
can get
last
on with your life.
We're gonna get to Last Blood in a second because that's my number 5 pick, and I picked
Okay.
it and I put it below this movie based on the pacing because even if a movie is short, it
Okay.
doesn't necessarily translate to good pacing. And this one, it's like he's in Vietnam, like you said, and all of a sudden he's in fucking Afghanistan, and you're like,
Yeah, for
what?
no
Yeah,
reason.
for no reason, and it just happens really quick. So I kind of enjoyed that about the movie, but. By the way, overall, let's give it from a 0 to 10. How would you rank the Rambo series as a whole, from 0 to 10? Entertainment level, of course, not necessarily cinematic level. We're not comparing it to The
Yeah,
Godfather.
for strictly entertainment level, I would probably give it about a 6.5. It's not great. Like there's not a lot where you can get really excited about it, but if you like violence, then it is kind of entertaining.
It is very entertaining if you like violence and you like gore.
Yes.
And he was actually, let me see, he starts. He wasn't even in Vietnam. He was in Thailand. Yeah, so he gets to Thailand for some reason, and then he goes over to Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And yeah, weird movie. But anyway, that's our Pete's number 5, my number 4. But now I'm going to talk about my number 5, which happens to be Pete's number 4, which is the most recent Rambo, which is Rambo Last Blood. So why did I put this in last place? Well, one, like I said, I thought the pacing was a little bit off. Like it was very slow to start, and it kind of showed its hand early. Like he was having too much of a
He was
lovey-dovey.
so happy.
Yeah, he was way too happy. He was having that wonderful conversation with his niece,
Yeah.
adopted niece. Which, by the way, Pete and I
Well,
were
we
this.
agreed that he is not biologically related to her.
Actually, he is Indian and German, according to Rambo 3.
Yes,
Yeah,
he is
well,
apparently
yeah,
German.
yeah, Indian and German. But anyway, all that aside, um, the yeah, I thought the beginning was a little bit too slow. It kind of showed
It
his.
was painfully
It's
slow.
painfully slow. Like I put down in the notes here, it was taking too much time to set up this relationship, so you know something's gonna happen to this girl. And oh, by the way, should we give him spoilers or no spoilers for the new
um,
one?
I think by now most people who want to see it have seen it. So
All right, I'll go mild spoilers. Mild spoilers.
okay.
We don't want to. It's for the new one. For the other ones, I mean, they've been out long enough where you guys, you gotta understand that that too long for spoilers for that one. But you don't need spoilers to know that something bad's gonna happen to this girl, and something really bad happens to this girl. That part kind of
It
shocked
was
me.
actually worse than I thought.
Yeah, it was worse than I
At least she
thought.
didn't get raped. Well,
Well, we
actually,
don't
she
know.
probably did.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
know. So, if you know the byline here for the story is that the girl goes to Mexico, she gets kidnapped by a cartel, and of course that brings Rambo back to his Rambo self because he was way too happy for way too long.
Yeah.
And I put here it took about 40 minutes before anything brutal starts happening. There were no deaths. There was no. There was nothing going on. And I did like the line here. I want revenge. I want to know death is coming and there's nothing they can do about it. Like I like some of the lines in the movie. He was very much kind of like kind of almost like Death Wish, by the time
Yeah.
Charles Bronson just kind of.
But he was fucked up too.
Yeah, he was fucked up. But in the beginning, because it starts out in the beginning where Charles Bronson is just doing it for a good reason, let's say. quote unquote, you know.
Yeah, but he gets off on
But
it.
he gets off on it, yeah, to the point where he's like, I am death. I
Yeah.
am, like, he's just shooting motherfuckers at
Yeah.
random. Yeah.
Yeah, like he goes out and it's actually almost racist because he goes out and he provokes black people into attacking him.
Man, I just saw a 24-minute all of the Death Wish kills compilation on YouTube. I suggest you watch it if you like Death Wish. And it was kind of mixed. It wasn't all black people. There were a lot of white guys that got it too. He was kind of an all opportunity, killer. But
He really enjoys it.
he didn't kill any Mexicans. I noticed that. There were a lot of white guys that got it, a lot of black guys that got it, but no Mexicans really. And that's where Rambo comes in. And that's where I was reading the review that
Rambo
said,
kills Mexicans, so
Yes.
that's his,
yeah,
that's his public service.
yeah, that's his public service. So that's where I guess I was reading this review that there were a lot of the what's that, Rotten Tomatoes are like, this is a Trump wet dream, this movie. And I was like, what? So that made me want to watch it even more. And once it gets going, man, it was kind of entertaining. The kills at the end. I mean, it's so outrageous. And I guess Stallone, especially after the last movie, which was a gore fest, he's like, man, that's the direction we got to go. Like, I can get the horror film buffs. So much so that on Facebook, I'm in some horror pages, and sometimes people ask, what's a gory movie? And they'll put Rambo. Watch Rambo. So it's cool where he's been able to get this young crowd of these young kids that like to see blood, like to see heads being cut off. This movie has a lot of it.
It does.
A lot of it. There's even insides of body parts that get taken out.
Yeah,
Yes.
the final scene where he cuts the guy's
Well,
heart. He tells him, I'm going to cut your heart out.
Yes.
And then he does it.
Yeah, guys, all right, spoilers.
Yeah.
He wasn't being figurative.
Yeah.
Stallone, I don't think he gets on a figurative level in a lot of his movies. So, yes, there's hearts being taken out. The bad guys, by the way, in this movie, I forgot to switch the screen here, are these guys, Victor and Hugo Martinez. Those are the guys in the cartel. You see he's got the family there on the bottom right there. That's his good friend. Seriously, we're trying to figure out, is he Mexican all of a sudden? Like, where did this family come from? Because they treat him like family, but then we wikied enough where we figured out that that's just his friend.
Yeah, they're figurative family.
Yes, they live on his father's farm, Rambo.
Yeah.
So it picks up right at the end of Rambo 2008 where he decides to go back to America, to go back to the farm, and apparently
And you know what?
he's
Give
there.
Rambo this. At least he had 10 happy years. You know, they're not going to make a movie about that. There's no movie about 10 years of Rambo being peaceful.
The Rambo Horse Whisperer movie. You know, I would watch that. You know, man, Stallone, he surprises you when he wants to. That motherfucker can act.
He is actually Copland.
Copland is great, and the first Rocky. The first Rocky is.
Yes,
I mean, he's more or less playing himself, but he's still playing a character, and he's wonderful in that movie. So when he needs to, he can get his acting chops up. And yeah, I don't know. How do you feel about Rambo: Last Blood? That was your number 4 pick.
That was my number 4 pick. Yeah. To be honest, I saw it on a cam, which was not the best way to see a movie because I don't know, it was half in Spanish and the subtitles were cut off. So that kind of made it suck. But the entire movie was a setup for a 30-minute kill scene at the end. So that part I liked. I could have done without a lot of other aspects of it, but the fact that it was basically an excuse to kill. I counted. The second time I watched it, I counted. It was an excuse to kill 24 people in 30 minutes. I like that part.
In Home Alone style.
Yes,
Brutal.
Exactly. It was
Brutal.
Home Alone.
Brutal Home Alone style. And that's not counting everybody else that got killed.
Yeah, all the people he bashed with a hammer.
Bashed with a hammer on the way up. Man, man, no, seriously, he had such like a slasher movie. Like he had a real slasher feel to him.
You know, one thing I would actually say in favor of this movie,
Yeah.
it kind of reminded me of Unforgiven or A History of Violence.
Yes.
That story of like a person who has a violent past and they have found peace, but they finally like crack and go back to violence. That aspect of it was
So what
actually
you're
good.
telling me is you see Oscars.
Not really.
Ah, come on. Unforgiven of a History of Violence. That's Oscar-worthy material right there. But it was entertaining, guys. And by the way, even though Last Blood is in my last place, Part 3 is second to last, I suggest watching all of these. There's none of them that are unwatchably bad. None of them are really unwatchably bad. I think some are a little bit better written, have a little bit more uh, better exposition and things like that. But none of them, do you agree? None of them are really. Are there any unwatchably bad?
I would say part 3 is pretty hard to get through.
All right, part 3 can be hard to get through, but I'd watch most of these. For me, I don't know if I'd go back and watch Rambo Last Blood again anytime soon, only because of that beginning part. Like you said, it was just a setup, a really long setup to just fast forward to like actually this scene up on the roof where that I got the screenshot from where he walks in on the Mexican cartel and he gets the shit beat out of him. From then on,
that was a unique thing about this movie. Actually,
Yeah.
you usually don't see Rambo get beat up.
he's
He
old.
got fucking boot stomped. In
Yeah,
this movie.
yep. But I guess they wanted to show something new and different. But anyway, so that's the bottom of our list. Now we're gonna move on, and Pete's gonna talk about. Let me see his number 3 pick. And it was kind of surprising for me that he picked this as number 3, but here we go.
All right, yes, the original. I watched this on beta when I was a child. I was like 9 years old watching this on beta.
What the hell is beta? I'm too young.
It was the original VCR format.
Oh, cool.
Yes, Phil is much younger than me. He does not remember.
Not
beta.
by much. I was born in 81.
All right, I was born in 72. You're much younger than me.
Oh, 10 years. But it's amazing how with technology, though, like 3 years is a gap, with tech. So, yeah, I did not come in the beta age. I was VHS boy.
Yeah.
But okay.
So, anyways, First Blood. For me, this is a Pacific Northwest movie. As a lot of Canadians may know, this film was shot in Hope, BC. And you can actually see the scene, and I'm going to ask Phil if he can find a scene of him walking under the Welcome to Hope sign.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we'll be able to show it to the people watching, but I definitely... Welcome to Hope. Rambo.
Right.
First Blood. Yep. They didn't even change the... Let me see if we can find that. There it is. Welcome to Hope.
It. Yeah.
Well, we can't really show it to whoever's watching, but it's there.
Yeah, it's not Hope, Washington. It's Hope, BC.
Well, they changed. Yeah, they changed.
Oh, okay.
It's in the U.S., but they kept the...
All right.
They kept the sign and everything.
So anyways, at the beginning, this movie seems actually very deep. You have the story of a Vietnam vet who has been rejected by his home country. He's being called a baby killer. He's basically homeless. He's wandering the streets looking for friends. He finds all his friends are dead. And then he gets abused by a bunch of cops. It's a very powerful story about a veteran not being appreciated for their service to their country. And then it just takes a sharp left turn to Stupid Town, man. All of a sudden, like after all that, you feel so bad for this guy.
There's our sign real quick so you guys can see. Gateway to Holidayland. Welcome to Hope.
Yeah.
They just changed it to Canada, but, Same difference. All right, sorry about that. Go ahead, sir.
No, that's fine. So you have this very serious story about the treatment of war veterans. And this is also a Pacific Northwest connection because the writer is also the writer of the novel, mind you. The
Yes.
writer of the novel First Blood. He's from my hometown.
Yeah.
And yeah, he wrote this book about Vietnam veterans being abused and not being respected. And they make this movie about it. And up until the halfway point, it's perfect. And then at the halfway point, it just goes way south.
Um, I'm gonna hold some of my thoughts on First Blood because I
Of
ranked it
course,
a
yeah.
little bit higher than you, but yeah, but I agree with most of what you said because it when it starts out, it's a very serious movie.
Yes.
You're like, wait a second, this is like a Rocky, another kind of serious look at this kind of beaten down
Right.
underdog character. Difference is that Rocky doesn't go out and
he doesn't lay bear traps
although
for the police.
Here's a little bit of trivia in, I guess, what we call movie misconceptions. And I just watched this recently, and I didn't notice this, and I only found out when I was doing research for this podcast. He only kills one person in this movie, and
Because they're cops.
no, and it wasn't even. He didn't even try to kill the guy. It was it was the part where he was down. He had climbed on the side of this cliff or whatever,
Yeah.
and they're trying to shoot at him from a helicopter.
That's right.
And
yeah.
he throws like a stone or something.
That's right. Yeah.
And the guy's already kind of leaning halfway out. So in a way, you can almost argue that Rambo didn't even kill the guy. The guy was already kind of lost his own balance, and he falls. So that's interesting because we have this vision or maybe a false memory of Rambo killed a lot of people in First Blood.
No, he doesn't. He just traps them in like really nasty ways.
Yeah. And he tries to get away from them. But
it's never over. It's never over.
Oh, it's never over. Wait a second. It never is over for Rambo. Here we go, guys. Wait up. Technology fucking up as usual.
Back it up. Watch yourself. It's over, Johnny. It's over. Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off.
Which, by the way, for me, saves the movie. That last monologue is
except for the fact
favorites.
that he was robbing a gun store at that moment.
No, but by that time you get that he snapped. It's post-traumatic stress disorder or shell shock, however you want to call it, and he just snapped. So it made sense. Like he thought he was back in Vietnam at that point, and those guys were out to get him. And that's why the only one that could get to him is Troutman. Because that's the guy that said,
Troutman is a fucking hero.
The war is over. It's over, but it wasn't over. I'm sorry, but that ending monologue is too much. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But let's move on, guys. We're trying to move a little bit fast. And get to my number 3 pick, which is First Blood Part 2, which is not really his first blood, but okay. Oops, sorry, there we go. First Blood Part 3, where now Rambo is, because in that first movie he was in Washington, and I guess he went to prison, and he asked for he's invited to leave prison to save some people that had been captured in Vietnam. Yes.
No, POWs.
It's a POW rescue.
It's POW.
Yeah, it's a POW rescue in Vietnam. He's in jail, but he's like, listen, if you cleanse my record, if you clean my record, expunge it, I guess is the right word,
Exactly.
I will go there and do what I got to do. Of course, on the way there, everybody dies on the helicopter except him, right? Isn't that what happened? Like he gets caught. Somebody gets caught. Oh,
No, he gets caught.
he gets caught. Yeah, they're just gonna drop him, and he gets dropped down there with like nothing, right? There's like
Yeah, well, no, the mission is he is sent there to do recon.
yes,
But
yes,
but he finds that there actually are POWs.
yes.
So his supervising officers betray him
Uh-huh.
and say, "Oh fuck, you found POWs? We're just gonna leave them because we don't want to deal with that."
Okay. So I got some lines here, but who said these lines? I've always believed the mind is the best weapon. Could that possibly be Rambo?
Yeah, that could be Rambo. That sounds like something you would say.
I know Trautman said this. What you choose to call hell, he calls home.
Yeah.
And let me see. I mean, why did I put this movie this low? Is one, because it just seemed like a retread. It's a retread. It's more of everything we see in all the other movies, which I think they did a little bit better further down the line, especially in Rambo 2008.
Not really. I don't think so. I mean, I'm withholding most of my commentary here because I hold this movie in a higher regard than you do. But I think that this movie, like you said, he kills nobody in First Blood.
Mm-hmm.
In Rambo, he kills everybody. Literally everybody. So
there's definitely more deaths.
There is definitely an escalation.
There's a death escalation. Actually, this is a good time. Here, let's take a little pause. And we got the Rambo death count. So once Rambo gets a taste of First Blood, there's no turning back. So in part 1, he kills one person. Part 2, he kills 49 people with his shirt off. And 12 people with his shirt on.
That's an important statistic.
It is. Although, it's kind of hard to tell here because on the second chart it says 75. Is 46 plus 12 75? I think not, right?
No, that doesn't work.
Yeah, that doesn't work. But I think it's kind of tough to tell how many he kills, how many he doesn't, because sometimes he blows up trucks and stuff like that. So I can see where it can be difficult to get the death counts in Rambo movies. Rambo 3, we got 45 people that he kills with his shirt off. And 33 people that he kills with his shirt on. And in Rambo 4, he never takes his shirt off, but manages to kill 83 people according to one chart, and 254.
I believe the 254.
I gotta go with the 254 too. Because when he was machine gunning them down at the end, we'll get to Rambo 2008. Yeah. But anyway, I think Rambo 2008 was kind of spoiled Rambo 2 for me, because I didn't not like Rambo 2, First Blood Part 2, but it just seemed a little pedestrian compared to what he did later on.
But that is where the whole iconography comes from.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, like, that is the origin point of 80s action movie schlock.
Yes, we got the beautiful young Co, played by Julia Nixon. He's got a little bit of a love interest, which all these movies kind of needed.
Yeah, and she has to die.
Oh man, that shocked me. I even put that in the notes. Yeah, I wrote bitch getting killed. Surprise. So that one kind of caught me by surprise. I liked the torture scene. Rambo's torture scene was really great. And I remember that from a kid, watching that torture scene over and over. But I would get Part 2 and Part 3 mixed up a lot because they both have this Russian, these Russian...
He could be the same guy.
No, it's another actor. But I think, I actually liked the bad guy from Part 3 better than this one. I can't even remember anything that this one did. But that's not a bad movie, man. I put it at number 3, but only because what I have as number 2 and number 1, I think, amp it up a little bit more as far as kills, and the storyline I think I like a little bit more in my number 1 pick. One thing that I noticed, I don't know if you noticed this, whenever he shoots the bow and arrows, it sounds like a pistol. It's like,
Yeah.
"Pachoo, pachoo, pachoo." And I'm like, what the fuck? So, not a bad movie. First, Rambo 2 or First Blood Part 2, whatever. There's a lot of, it's raining, it's not raining. Whole villages are burnt, and in the end, there's a happy ending.
Yeah, it
Does
actually
Rambo-
does have a fairly happy ending.
Yeah, Rambo gets 2 medals of honors. He becomes a hero to the Vietnamese.
After punching out his boss.
And what does he? Oh, here's a great quote. I want what they want. And every other guy who came over here and spilled his guts and gave everything he had. Which, what is that? Respect, I guess? I don't know. But anyway, Pete, I'll let Pete talk more about this movie a little bit later because he ranked it a little bit higher. Now, Pete, your number 2 pick, I believe, is this movie.
Yes, Stallone, Rambo. No Roman numerals, just Rambo.
The fight continues.
I did not actually even know this movie existed.
Oh, wow.
I actually owe our friend Justin Bramlett for...
By the way, we miss you, Justin.
Yes, we do. We wish you were here.
Yes.
We could use your input.
Yes.
I did not know this movie existed. And so I thought, okay, as long as I'm watching these stupid fucking movies, I'll watch this one. And it was actually kind of delightful. It was basically 90 minutes of people being hit with M60 bullets and exploding like pumpkins being dropped from the 12th floor.
Oh, yeah.
And as you know, I lived in Southeast Asia for quite some time, and I enjoyed the Southeast Asian setting. But this movie teaches us that missionaries are pussies, and that if you really want to affect some change, you need to bring a team of mercenaries into town and just shoot people until their heads explode.
Yeah, they were in Burma, by the way.
Yeah.
They were in the Saffron Revolution.
Yeah.
And I actually put this movie at number 2 also, so I'm going to join in on the hurrah, hurrah for Rambo. And because we had set up this Rambo countdown maybe, 6 months ago? It's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of ran through the first 3, and I stopped at Rambo, like this one, because I had seen it maybe 2 years ago. And I thought it was alright. I thought I kind of knew where I was going to rank it, but I was like, I might as well rewatch it just because I had just watched Last Blood just to complete it all and have a clear perspective on it. And man, it raised on my ranking. I probably would have ranked it like maybe 3 or 4 before, because it's a little bit different. It's a little bit flashier with the direction style, kind of slick.
Directed by Sylvester Stallone.
Yes, directed by Stallone himself, and he's got a very slick style to his cinematography and all the stuff, the way he blocks. But I actually really enjoyed it right from the opening scene where people get blown up right at the start.
Yeah, yeah, it's pure carnage, beginning to end. Like, you got to give it to Stallone. Like he really appreciates that if you're going to see this kind of movie, all you want to see is carnage.
Exactly, he goes all in. So congrats to Stallone for that, because a lot of big name actors, directors wouldn't go there.
Yeah.
They would maybe stylize the killings or something, like that. And Stallone's like, no, this is just a blood and guts movie.
Yeah.
And I think this movie really is the one where, like I said, when I go on horror pages, I see people mention this movie a lot. Like, it even got love from these guys that are used to watching Jason cut people in half and Freddy Krueger and all that stuff. For the creative kills, I mean, we got heads popping off. I love the beginning where they had to do that almost Apocalypto style where they had to get from one side to the other and not die. In Apocalypto, they're throwing, I think, javelins at them. Or Game of Thrones even, Battle of the Bastards, they kind of took the same thing. But they have to get across the rice paddy field and not step on a mine.
Yeah. And
of course,
blown up.
And of course, they step on mines, and all you see is the CGI, blood everywhere. Only thing that was missing was the body parts flying out, And the bad guy from this movie is great. It's an actor called Maung Maung Kin. Which you see there.
And what is his character's name?
His name is Major. And by the way, I don't know where people are able to get character names for any of these movies because I have zero recollection.
I have no memory of
I have zero memory. I had to look every single one of these up on Wikipedia in the Rambo wiki because who pays attention to characters' names other than John Rambo in any of these movies? But his name is Patiti. And I don't know, man. I'll give you I'll send you $2 if you can tell me where in the movie they actually say his name. I don't recall them ever saying his name.
No.
Because he barely talks in the movie.
No. And there's this scene where the first time they encounter him, the pirates.
Yes.
They take over the boat.
Yeah.
And he basically says like, "We'll take your women and you guys can go." And Rambo's got the gun ready to go. He's ready to shoot everybody.
Oh, that's a great scene.
And they say something to the effect that, oh no, he says to the women, like, they're going to rape you and kill you. And they're more or less okay with it, which shows why missionaries are pussies.
Oh, by the way, Pete can attest to you that one of my notes says "fuck white guilt," because really, this movie made me really hate these white people a lot. like fuck these white people. Like, yeah, like exactly what Pete said. These missionaries, they're like, no, we can't kill. No, we can't. Yeah, Rambo's like, they were gonna rape her and then cut all your heads off. He's like, but we can't kill anybody. I'm like,
no, I think what he says is they would have raped her 1,000 times.
Yeah, 1,000 times over, and then chopped your heads off.
Yes, and then chopped her head off.
And then the guy Michael, which by the way, he has a character arc because at the end he does kill. Michael.
Yeah, he learns that violence is the right way.
Violence is the right way. He learns the Rambo philosophy, which by the way, I have the notes here for Rambo philosophy, where the girl says, "All lives are special. Some lives, some no." And that's the Rambo philosophy. And I agree with that philosophy. Not like that George Carlin has a great stand-up about that all kids are not special. The all kids are special movement that started in the 70s. And then he has the great philosophical question, if all kids are special, when exactly, at what age is it that they suddenly not become special, and become asshole adults? Yeah. So, not all people are special. So I like that this movie also tried to bring light to an issue. I don't know why I wrote that as a note, but I guess all these movies are a feeble attempt at trying to.
They're very feeble attempt.
Trying
but
the Mexican cartels. Yeah, Mexican cartels are a legitimate issue, and how they take women and use them as sex slaves. This movie with this saffron revolution, none of us had ever heard of. Rambo 3, the Soviets and
Al-Qaeda.
Al-Qaeda, the birth of Al-Qaeda. Rambo was involved in that. In the birth of Al-Qaeda. POW issues in Rambo 2. Which,
don't think that actually ever turned out to be a thing.
He didn't really delve into it. But okay, there were POWs there. John McCain was there. He went to...
That's true.
He went to try to save John McCain. And Rambo, of course, First Blood, dealing with the treatment of vets.
Shitty treatment of veterans.
Yeah, when they came back from the war. But, some other quotes from this movie, live for something or die for nothing. That's a great thing that he said to because the mercenaries didn't want to go, right?
No, the mercenaries were only interested in getting paid. Yeah, I like the mercenaries in this movie.
They were cool.
That was one of the things. It's like you think Rambo is just gonna fucking kill these guys because they're treating him like he's a pussy.
Yes.
Like he has no experience. Yeah. He has more experience than any of them have had.
And he's more brutal than any of them could ever imagine.
Yeah, and they're fucking riding him. But he actually tolerates them and uses them
because he's a man of peace. We've established this from the start.
Yeah.
Right? He's a peaceful man. It's just every once in a while.
Every once in a while he has to chop off a couple dozen heads.
It's that really bad day. It's like, what's that Michael Douglas movie? where he's
falling down.
Yes, where he's trying. Oh, I love that. Where he's just trying to get his kid back. He just wants to see his kid. It's just this one really bad day where that's Rambo. He's had five really bad days.
And if you look at the gap between these movies, like, okay, Rambo, the one we're talking about now, that happened in 2008.
Yes.
And the newest movie is in 2019. So he actually had 11 peaceful years. He's not such a bad guy.
And before that, I mean, what was it, 1988 that we said Rambo 3 came out?
Yes.
So he had a really long stretch of basically just farming.
He has these long periods of peace, and then he kind of murders people.
Yes. Self-defense.
Yeah.
In a way, like...
Yeah, but he has a knack for getting into those situations.
Yes, that's the very assertive self-defense. No, but... Yeah, not much I can say bad about this movie. And actually, this scene that I put here where he's with the big-ass machine gunning a bunch of people down, first time I watched it was actually was what put it lower on the list for me, because usually the end kills are a lot more creative in these movies.
Right.
And just him standing there, for 5 minutes.
But the way they blew up, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They exploded like human popsicles.
Second time through, I actually appreciated this scene a lot more, because he was just blowing them up, and there's so much other stuff happening while he's doing that. And he does get the final kill on Pati Ting. He gets him right in the gut. So, this scene, though, just became a famous meme, right? Especially for Facebook, where they're throwing out the likes. So, shockingly entertaining, as it says there in the poster for Stallone. So, if you have never seen any of the Rambos, and you just want blood and guts with little filler, this is the one. This is the one. Zero filler. Like, first scene, right? The first scene is already people dying. Yeah. People getting blown up. So now we're going to get to Pete's number one movie. Yes. Which would be going back to Rambo.
All right. Yes. My number one pick is First Blood Part 2, which I saw in the theaters and thoroughly enjoyed, but actually had no desire to see again. When I watched it again, I completely enjoyed it. It is basically the birthplace of every 80s action movie cliche you have ever seen. There are parts of it that bothered me. The number one part would be that, having lived in Southeast Asia for many years, his guide is a Vietnamese girl who we looked up her name. What's her name, Phil?
Oh, I'll tell you in a second. It's definitely not a Vietnamese name. That much we remember. Wait up. Her name is Julia Nixon.
Right. So she is not Vietnamese. And the thing is, throughout the movie, she is speaking this bullshit pidgin English. Like,
but look at this. Look, she's a Singaporean-born American actress. So she's from over there. I don't know where she got that very...
Well, yeah, she's obviously Asian, but she's not...
Oh, yeah, but I don't know where she got that very American name, though. First came to attention in Rambo's First Blood. She was born...
Only thing she's
there you
famous
go.
For.
She was born in Singapore to an English father and a Chinese mother.
Okay.
She graduated from the Singapore American School and attended the University of Hawaii, and then she married this guy named David Soul. So there you go. They have one daughter, China Soul, a singer-songwriter.
Hmm?
What? She's a practicing Scientologist.
Wonderful.
Yes, she joined the church in 1996. All right.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes, but
let's try to forget all this and imagine that she's actually Vietnamese.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
So throughout the movie, she's speaking this bullshit pidgin English, like omitting articles and the thing is, I lived in Southeast Asia for many years, and I know, like, if you don't speak good English, you have an accent, and her accent is perfect. Mm-hmm. She sounds like crisp American.
Yes.
She sounds like she comes from West Beverly Hills.
Yes.
And so, no, that did not work for me.
I help Rambo.
Yeah, exactly. But her whole purpose in the movie is to die so that Rambo can avenge her.
Yeah, now that you bring that up, that's what probably knocked it down a few notches for me was her character. Although I was thinking of you pretty much the whole time watching this movie because I know you got a thing for these Asian, South. I guess that would that be Southeast Asia?
Southeast Asia,
Southeast Asian girls. I was like, you know what? Pete's probably gonna rank this movie real high, just because he's getting a boner watching this shit.
But no,
cute.
I wasn't because she was a fake. She was a fake.
He needs authenticity. Yes, but no, she's a good-looking girl. But that part, yes, knocked it down a bit more for me. But go ahead, continue there.
Okay.
Why are you so in love with Rambo
all right.
Part 2?
So why is Rambo so good? It's because like all these movies we've been talking about, Action Jackson, Mission in Action, all those 80s action movies with such over-the-top violence, they all started with this. This is really what created that culture of super violent, unremorseful, completely unremorseful violence.
Yeah, by these insane guys looking for revenge, and they become these anti-heroes.
Yeah.
That everybody loves. You'd probably have a coffee with Rambo, but you don't want to be on his bad side.
Right. And the defining scene is the scene where he blows the guy up with the arrow. I mean, I know since then he's blown a lot of people up with arrows. Mm-hmm. But in that first scene, you don't expect it. And it's shot so well, the way the camera follows the arrow and it goes into him. And you look at it and you go, that's so fucking stupid. But it's also so fucking cool.
Yeah, Rambo and these arrows, like I said, the bow and arrow became kind of part of his arsenal in this movie, I think, more than in the first one. Did he use an arrow in the first movie?
No, I don't recall, actually.
Let me see if we can hear this. This video may be inappropriate for some users. I understand and wish to proceed. Oh, look at this. It's like not letting me watch Rambo shooting somebody with an arrow. Let me see if we can get it. Is there any dialogue in this movie? So there's some beautiful water flowing. Rambo with his arrow coming down.
I actually agree with you that his torturing scene is really good here too.
These guys all have bad aim.
Yeah.
And he's pulling out the arrow.
Yeah,
and
the guy him like 50 times.
Yeah, he's just standing there. Here we go. Let's see if you can hear the. Guy's running. Wait, did you hear the sound that bow
makes? That's like
makes?
some Wile E. Coyote shit.
Yeah, the sound of the bow. Look, listen to that. That's. It sounded like R2D2.
Yeah. No, that's like Wile E. Coyote shit, man.
Dude, Rambo's standing at the edge, like at the waterfall. The guy's maybe 100 feet from him, maybe less. And he's shooting, and Rambo's standing up straight.
Yeah, you cannot miss him.
You cannot miss him. And the guy, shooting, and he cannot shoot Rambo down. I had forgotten that scene.
That's actually the reason why this is my number one. That one scene is like fucking brilliant.
Anyway, yeah, but all right, no, I have nothing against you picking that as number one. Like I said, for me, Maybe the only one that I probably wouldn't like, oh, let me watch this again, is this last one. Although I did enjoy the last 30 minutes.
Yeah,
And
you basically like to the last one. You basically fast forward
yeah,
to
you
the
fast
last.
forward, and I can sort of agree with you with the Afghan one. Like, it's not something special that, oh, I gotta go back to. But all the other ones, man, including this one, just pop them in and you'll have fun with them. Uh, my number one movie, and actually, before we go to my number one movie, let's take a second here and talk about Rambo at the box office, because Rambo made a lot of money, man. We got here the total for Rambo, and this is not adjusted for inflation. It's $312 million at the box office. Adjusted for inflation is about 143. Is that correct? Or am I? No, that's the average. Sorry. The total is $716 million at the box office. So yes, Rambo is a cash cow.
Yeah.
Definitely. And as you can see there,
And you know why?
Yes.
It's because he makes these like 10-year gaps. Like the first three came out in pretty rapid succession.
Yes.
The first one was 82, the second was 85, the third was 88.
Yes.
But after that, it's been like 2008, 2019. So, if you flood people with shit, they're not going to go.
Yes.
But if you make people wait for it, they will.
They will wait for it. So here at the box office, actually the number one movie of them all is the one you were just talking about. First Blood made 150 mil, which is it's almost 400 mil in today's dollars. Rambo 3 was the second highest grossing at 53.
Really?
But that's unadjusted. Adjusted, it's First Blood. It makes 144. And then we got First Blood in the third slot, unadjusted, 47 million. And Rambo 3 drops down to third in the adjusted, 117. And number 4, which kind of is surprising to me, is Rambo from 2008. It only made 42 million. And the even adjusted to inflation, it's about 53 million.
That doesn't surprise me. I didn't know that movie existed.
Oh, really? And then Rambo Last Blood, I mean, we don't know what the final tally is, but apparently it opened to about 18 million buckaroos. Let me see.
I think it's going to do quite well, actually. I mean, it's doing well here. If it's doing well here, it's got to be doing well in America.
Let me see. Rambo franchise box office. I just want to check something out here. There you go, Box Office Mojo. That's
Holy
the
shit,
site.
113 million?
That's the site. Now, worldwide, Rambo First Blood also made the most money worldwide. Although Rambo 2008 made 113 worldwide, so that's probably where it made most of its money. First Blood is number 3 at 125. Rambo 3, 189 million. And then Rambo First Blood Part 2 made 300 worldwide. Yeah, we don't know yet what the final tally will be, but we'll see. Does it have any competition at the box office at the moment?
No, not really.
It says here, weekend box office, Ad Astra and Rambo both grossed 19 million.
Yeah, I don't think Ad Astra is really drawing popcorn fans.
What is that even about?
It's a Lost in Space movie, apparently.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Let me see how much Rambo 2008 production budget. How much did it cost to make this movie? 55 million? That's the budget. Or was that how much it made? How much did it cost to make Rambo? Oh, it cost 14 million. Or is that the first Rambo? Because if that's the case, he made a lot of money. Let me see.
Yeah, it's a 2008 film.
It's a 2008 American thriller. It grossed 42 million in the U.S. and Canada and 113 worldwide against a budget of 50 million. Oh, so they were happy. Yeah, they made their money back, more or less.
It's a pretty low budget movie.
It didn't look as low budget as the other ones, but I guess so, because the other ones had all the helicopters and all the
I think this newest one, Last Blood, was probably even more low budget.
It definitely looked that. It definitely looked it. But anyway, Sylvester's happy. The studios are happy, and we get to my number one pick. It's First Blood, guys. I try not to always go for the first is the best. And a lot of times, first isn't the best because they're trying to just get their shit together. I mean, sometimes first will be really good, but then the sequel will, or even the third one in, is the one that really melds everything. But what did I love about Rambo First Blood? First is the theme. I love the theme of the Vietnam vets coming back to the U.S. because that's real life stuff, and it's stuff that's so recent, even with veterans coming back from Iraq. You hear about it all the time during the presidential debates with taking care of the veterans hospitals, sending money here, sending money there. American vets are not treated well. Probably vets, I don't know how vets are treated around the world, but American vets definitely not. I teach a course on U.S. history, and this goes back to even Civil War, World War One. Herbert, what's his name? Our friend Hoover. He sent the army out to get rid of vets that were protesting because they wanted their pension during the Great Depression, and people got killed through that. So it's a big issue that America has. They love to send their young boys out to war, but they don't always treat them that well when they come back. So that was a great, great, great theme, despite the fact that then it goes bonkers. but like I told, I was talking to Pete a while back when he was talking about this movie. For me, although he goes bonkers, but it makes sense because he's just going through extreme STD. Is that what it's called? PTSD?
PTSD.
Yeah, PTSD, post-traumatic stress.
And it is a real thing.
It is a real thing. It used to be called shell shock.
Phil and I both live in Brazil, and we've both been
shot
victims at more than once.
Yes.
So actually, yeah, PTSD, it is a real thing.
It is a real thing, and it'll fuck with your head. And I like Stallone's acting in this movie actually because the transition from him just being fucked with until finally he snaps, like the Hulk snaps, and he just loses sense of everything. I felt it. I was like, okay, it made logical sense where you would get to that point where all of a sudden, especially he's out in the woods, that probably fucked his brain up even more because like he's back in Vietnam and he's got to hide from these guys, he's got to hide in the rock, do this, do that, only to survive. And the only way that he was able to snap out of it is when Troutman shows up at the end, played by Richard Crenna. Awesome job. And Brian Dennehy is great in this movie.
He is, yeah, because he wasn't really a bad guy. He felt ashamed of what his officers did. He wasn't a big fan of Rambo, obviously, but he did feel ashamed of what the officers did to him.
David Caruso is in this movie?
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Yes, he is. He plays one of the shithole officers.
Yeah, very young David Caruso. And I got a few loose notes here, but I can't remember what the heck I was talking about. I put that escalated quickly. That's probably the scene where he's naked in the cell and he's getting watered down and then he just snaps.
Yeah, David Caruso is one of the sadistic cops.
Is one of the sadistic cops. So you're going into a Rambo movie. You know he's going to attack people or do something. And like we said, in this movie, he actually doesn't kill anybody, but you get the impression that he's attacking people. So you're already going in there knowing that's going to happen at some point. So the best you can ask for beyond that is, one, are the attacks or the kills going to be awesome?
Yeah.
And two, is there going to be somewhat of an interesting story to follow along?
Yeah.
And I think First Blood does that because the attacks were kind of interesting, creative. Is this the one where he comes out of the mud?
No, that's two. That's the second one.
That's the second one, okay. But, he's kind of just evading these officers as much as possible. This is one where he hides in that little cave, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I thought the story was really deep, and especially that last monologue is one of my favorite. And it just encapsulates I mean, I can imagine just if you're a Vietnam War vet watching that movie and watching that last monologue, you have to have gotten teared up a little bit. I mean,
I saw people coming out of part 2 crying.
oh yeah, yeah, because it's emotional. It's emotional. The stuff that was going on. So I give First Blood first place, but like I said, any one of these that's not in place number 4 or 5 for me, I think is worth watching and entertaining anytime, any day. So, any last words on Rambo? Because we've passed the 1 hour mark.
Yes, I was a reluctant participant. I do not really care for Rambo particularly, but watching these films, I enjoyed them, and you should too. They are, if you like mindless shit, this is the shit for you.
Very mindless, but very entertaining. But you know what? I'll give Stallone credit because it's really not mindless. It's not as mindless as we think it is. You know,
That is true.
it's definitely surface level
Yeah.
because we've seen mindless movies and you just can't watch them. It's just okay, explosion here, explosion there. Like that Michael Bay movies. I mean,
Right, yes.
that's
yes.
mindless.
Yeah, okay. So let me add to that Rambo is better than Michael Bay.
Oh, 100 times better. You know,
Yeah.
because there's a flavor to it. There's a style to it.
Yeah.
And you can tell that as nutty as it is, you know, him shooting the arrow at the guy, but it's staged that way to look ridiculous. And they know it's ridiculous. And it's all it's like a fine-tuned little machine of ridiculousness.
Yeah.
So I'll give all the guys, not just Stallone, but all the guys that put all of it together over this many years. And it wouldn't have lasted this long if there weren't some quality to it.
Yeah, there's something extremely likable about not the character, actually. The character is a jerk.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, he's a fuck-up.
He's peaceful, but he also has a tendency to lapse into extreme periods of homicidal violence.
And I think that's, for me at least, it's the catharsis of these movies. Because, I mean, if you haven't gone through some point in your life where you want to just shoot up everybody,
Yeah.
just do violence to people, then I don't know. I mean,
what's wrong with it?
What's wrong with it? Yeah, because I think even Dalai Lama said some stuff about
Yeah.
guns lately. You know, like sometimes you gotta use a little bit of violence. That for me is the reason. I'm not a huge Marvel fan, but one of my favorite characters, universally probably favorite by a lot of people, is the Hulk. Because I get that. You know, we can all relate to. Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. Who doesn't feel that every once in a while?
Exactly.
And of course Godzilla, you know, just break shit.
Yeah.
So that's Rambo. He's like he speaks to our animalistic our animalistic qualities.
He's the good guy until he's not good.
But he's still the good guy. Cuz he's not really going out to kill people. He doesn't wake up in the morning, let's say, and say,
"Yeah, all he wants is peace.
I just want to farm.
All he wants is peace.
Yeah, I want to farm. I want to capture some cobras, some snakes. He's always around ethnic people, so he's not a racist. You know, as far as we know, he's just a peaceful dude who's got this button that you don't want to push. I'd have a coffee.
Yeah,
Rambo.
I know, and in the most recent one, like where he has that fucking tunnel.
Yeah.
When you saw that, it's like, okay, you knew the only reason this tunnel exists is so he can kill people in it.
Yeah,
that turns out to be the exact premise of the movie.
He's a peaceful farmer, horse whisperer that just happens to have an insurance plan in case I ever need to kill people. But I mean, there's a lot of peaceful people that have guns in their homes. They have this same idea. It's just he kind of goes to the extreme.
Yeah.
It's like. Anyway, guys, thank you for listening. If you made it all the way to the end, I want to thank you. Please like and subscribe, as always, and look out. Hit that little bell, because that's what's going to let you know when our next ranking is up, because we don't do these on with any level of frequency. So whenever we got time, we'll do another one. So Pete's going through Star Trek, so that's probably going to be the next one. We'll probably get that out before the Picard series comes out. So until soon, I hope I didn't drown out everything there with the Rambo soundtrack. But that's it. Goodbye. Say
Cheers.
adios, man. Cheers. Cheerio. Motherfuckers.